Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this week's webinar from Annika Digital. It's myself, Anne Stanley, and I'm with
Morning.
Darren Wynn. So if you haven't met either of us before, where have you been? We've been doing these webinars for 5 years now, so you should hopefully recognise us. So I'm founder and CTO. I've had a recent job tech change. I'm going to be focused on technical aspects of digital marketing, but more closely on AI and automation. And Darren has taken up the reins of MD a couple of years ago now, wasn't it? You've been MD. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick poll to find out what level you are and what you know about our topic today, which is AI generalists. I think you should change the title to what the hell is AI generalists? And then we'll pass over to Darren, who's got lots of slides. There will be a recording available, video available in a couple of hours' time. You can also go and grab the handouts top right. And if you need to make the screen bigger, once Darren starts sharing, there will be some arrows top right. So let's start with the polls. So let's start polling first of all. The first one is, have you heard of the phrase AI generalist before today? Never heard of it. I've heard of it. I feel like I'm doing that job now. So let's see what they all say. So we'll just allow a little bit of time for the answers to roll in. There's always a bit of a lag on this.
It's an interesting one because I don't know how well known this phrase is yet, but I did Google that phrase a few times, and we actually appeared in one of the top search results for AI generalists. So that tells me something about how many people know about it.
I hadn't heard of it until I started an AI generalist course. So, you know, that just goes to show. So where we are with this then, so nearly 3/4 of the people have never heard of it. 20% of people have heard of it. And 3 people, I like to know who they are. I bet you were one of those, Darren. See that they feel like they're doing that job already. So that's really interesting. So as we suspected, it's not a term that's very commonly used. And I think the thing is, in the UK, we regard generalist almost as a derogatory term, which I think is quite interesting, because we think of a specialist as being really important. A generalist as being somebody, jack of all trades. So let's try the next one. So let's try question 2. So question 2 is, do you think AI is going to fundamentally change the way we work? Yes, it's going to change everything. It might change some aspects. It's not going to change anything substantial. So I'm really interested to know what people, I think if you're, I always say, I think if you're a plumber or you do a hands-on job, it's not going to change it. But you managed to get AI to help you fix your boiler, didn't you? So even your boiler can be fixed with the help of AI.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting, the microcosms of different things that previously I would have called someone out for. There was a problem with my boiler and I managed to fix it just through a conversation with ChatGPT. So there was one example of a job that previously would have gone to a plumber. But anything hands-on, I think plumbers and electricians, etc., probably safe for a while yet.
So that's really interesting. So we've not got anybody, I guess it's a bit of a self-selecting audience, really. I think if people didn't think it was going to change anything, they may not have attended. But we've got about 2/3 saying, yes, it's going to change everything, and it might, and a third saying it might change some aspects. I think once you've read, you start to learn. I think the more you learn, the more you realize it's going to change absolutely everything. And I think as we are able to present more webinars to you and help you, educate you, I think you'll find that a lot more is going to be impacted than you probably even realize now. And remember, we've had ChatGPT for 2.25 years now. So, that's quite a long time in technology. And of course, everything's been changing very quickly. So if you'd like to share your slides, and I can just let you know, I'll turn my camera off. Do you want to keep your camera on? I think people like it if the presenter does. So
yeah, that's fine. Let me just see if I can.
So if you share your slides, brilliant. That's working fine. So I'll turn my my mic off now, and I will help with the chat. I'll see you in a bit.
Thanks, Anne. Right, everyone. Good morning again. The rise of the AI generalists. So we're going to go through a couple of different concepts before we move on to what an AI generalist actually is. So we'll give some good background on everything, and then we'll start to move into that subject of today. Before we start, a bit about me. So my name's Darren Wynn. I'm Managing Director of Annika Digital. 15 years experience in marketing and digital agencies. I've worked in lots of different sides of the agency over the years. So that goes from advertising and paid search, where I kind of started, through to client strategy, HR, finance, all the fun things that we deal with. So I got lots of different experience in a lot of different areas. I guess if you were to kind of put me in a bucket right now, I'd probably be in that generalist bucket, which is a nice sidestep into the AI generalist role. In terms of technology, I love disruptive new technology, trying different things. I wasn't as early to AI as I really would have liked to have been, but I did catch on pretty quickly, and I just was wowed by the things it could do. And then every new iteration of AI that comes out, all these new fantastic tools, each one just seems amazing to me, and we try and incorporate parts of those into what we do at Annika. So that's a bit about me. What we usually do is then move on to a little bit about Annika. I thought, since this is an AI presentation, what I would do is, rather than me talk about it, I'd get my AI avatar to talk about it. So I hope that you can hear this, and will shout at me if you can't, but I'm going to play this now.
All good.
Always very strange to, I'm sure it's strange to have two versions of me on the screen as well, to see you present something that you didn't write. So I didn't write that script. I got AI to write that script. I didn't record anything. I did train a model, but I didn't record anything, either visual or audio. So everything there. There is one mistake that made, and that's that we haven't been around for 17 years. We've actually been around for 18 years. So I can blame the avatar for that. So it's quite nice to do that. Brilliant. Okay. So before we start, I want to go through just some numbers and then a little bit of context with AI before we move on to the subject of today. So a couple of numbers for you. There's been this massive growth in AI investments over the last few years. So 2014, $18 billion invested globally in AI. Today, we're approaching almost 200 billion in investments. And I think the US has committed a further, some crazy number, 400 billion in AI by the end of 2030 or something. Most of that investment comes from the US and China, but Europe is catching up now as well. So there's a load of money being poured into this, which represents opportunity. It also represents some risks, which I'll go through a little bit later. Adoption has skyrocketed. So in 2010, AI was this niche tool used by a few of those early adopters. 2024, 72% of companies worldwide are using AI in some form. And I think the poll probably reflects that. I think everyone now is used to using ChatGPT to sort of empower their working lives. In terms of sectors, 80% of leaders in retail plan to automate some form of their business by 2025. And in the service industry, 81% of companies now use AI for some form of customer interaction. And in terms of impact on job roles, which is in part what we're talking about today, there's the WEF, so the World Economic Forum. Now in 2020, they predicted that by 2025, 85 million jobs would be displaced, 97 million new jobs would be created. So that would be a net gain of around 12 million jobs. They updated that forecast in 2023 and said that by 2027, 83 million jobs would be displaced, 69 million new jobs would be created, which would mean a net loss of 14 million jobs. So it's interesting to see how those, and these are all numbers and predictions, so we can only go on sort of the data that they work with, but it's interesting to see the shift from a slightly more positive outlook to becoming slightly more negative in terms of job losses as AI advances and becomes better and automation starts to kick in. But those predictions have started to change slightly. So early AI systems were very narrow in approach. So they were designed to excel at specific tasks. So we've got some examples here. Deep Blue beat Garry Kasparov in 1997, very good at playing chess. We had early Google Translate that could process those simple texts, but lacked that context and understanding that we now know of today with AI. And there was other programs as well. AlphaGo was one that hit the headlines a few years back for beating certain world champions as well. And then we come on to today. So AI is now smarter, it's more versatile, it can process text, images, audio, so it's multimodal now. They learn from more minimal amounts of data, and they can be more general, so they can help with a wider range of specialized tasks across lots of different fields. There's vision AI, there's language, there's reasoning. All of these things are going into new iterations of AI and developing all the time. And then we've got these new systems that are always coming out. So DeepSeek was the one that hit the news recently because it was supposedly built for far less than these other models have been and is open source. So it's interesting to see how, as we progress and develop, we can start to build these models at a cheaper rate, which it helps everyone in the end, because if we can become more efficient at building these models, it becomes cheaper for everyone. So that means we've got lower barriers of entry now to AI. It's more accessible, it's more affordable to more people, and it's more widespread. So it's starting to have an impact on lots of different jobs and businesses. We've got automation. I'm going to talk about automation in just a second, but there's this increase in specific tasks starting to be automated. McKinsey & Company estimated that 50% of the current work activities are going to be automated somewhere at a midpoint projection of somewhere in 2045. So that just shows how much of our work lives certain organizations start to think will become automated over time. And that's going to create new opportunities. So certain tasks are going to be automated. There's going to be new AI job categories created and opportunities based on what is being developed at the moment. So there's going to be this need for a workforce that is able to adapt and start to harness this continuous learning, because AI just moves so fast. A process or a system or a thing that's built yesterday may be built by one-click, no-code solution tomorrow. So everything is moving at such a rate that we really have to keep up to date with these changes in order to harness the opportunities that they bring. I think it's important to note, and this is part of the conversation when we get onto specialists versus generalists, that AI is breaking down certain knowledge barriers. We talked about the plumbing example. That knowledge that used to exist within certain individuals and restricted to experts is now more broadly available to everyone. It's breaking down those barriers, those traditional barriers of specialization. There's some examples here in the legal sector, data analysis, software development, creative, where now, although we might not be able to get all the way there with certain things, like, for example, creating a legal document, I can get 95% of the way there. If I've got a document that I need to review, it's no longer a case that I would just think, right, I've got to spend some time going through that document and reading it and figuring it out. One of the first things that I think most people would do these days is actually upload that document to an AI model and ask it to analyze that and look for weaknesses or gaps in that contract so that we can speed that process up. Previously, those jobs would be reserved for specialists and people in the field that knew what they were doing.
Darren, there's a bit of a hissy noise. I think it might be either your mic rubbing against your clothes.
Is that better? Or... Should I hold the mic like this? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. So we talk about AI. It's not just about pure play AI. That's one side of the puzzle. And when people talk about AI, we usually mention AI in the realms of AI and automation. And automation tools are also advancing at quite a rate as well. There's been new automation tools, things like make.ai, NAN, you've got your classic Zapier, which are all non-code or low-code solutions to allow different systems to talk to each other. And that really supercharges AI because we can then utilize AI and also utilize automation to speed up the process of doing some of the jobs that we have in our businesses. I'm aware that some people don't know, or this is the first step into automation. So I gave an example here of an automation workflow. This is using make.ai, it might be make.com, where I set up a workflow just to try and help me with my emails. These flows get very, very complex, and this is just a 4-stage process, but it was one I was using just to practice with it. So you can see here, we've got different nodes or modules that you can build, and these are simple drag and drop things. If you find it difficult to work with this type of stuff, again, other AI tools will help you walk you through it step by step. There's even been cases where I've asked AI for assistance, it's not quite known how to help me, and so I've taken a screenshot of make, passed it along to, say, Claude or ChatGPT, and it's actually helped me select exactly the right options. But you can see in this example, I took my email, so that's Gmail. It scans Gmail every 15 minutes for me, takes my emails, passes it along to ChatGPT using API plugins, summarizes all of those emails for me, creates auto-generated responses to those emails as well. It passes through a little bit of code which ChatGPT helped me create, and then pushes those emails every 15 minutes through to my Teams, because I'm majority on Teams and I'm hopping between different things. So every 15 minutes on Teams, I get a nice AI summary, and asked for this, you need to respond to that in a Teams message, and then underneath each, it will provide a summarized response that it thinks I would provide back. So if something's simple and just needs a yes, okay, I could just copy paste that message if it's quicker. And if something requires a little bit more of my time, then I can put my time into answering those emails. And that's all done through Make. So a really simple process flow of just some of the stuff that we can do using automation and AI together, just to speed things up. I'm going to play this video now. This is Jensen Huang. He's chief exec of NVIDIA. So he has a vested interest, I think, in speaking positively about AI. So take that what you will. But an interesting talk just on the gap closing between development and programming languages. So talking about closing the technology gap, and the programming gap. I take that sentiment a bit further with things that we just talked about. It's not just about closing science and coding gaps. Now there's other skill sets where the gap is closed, and we're able to get access to that information far easier. So in summary, AI is growing. There's been an investment boom, an adoption boom. There's more accessibility now to AI and to information at a lower cost than there's ever been before. We're able to tackle a broader range of challenges in many different industries utilizing AI, and there's this democratization of information, AI knowledge being more accessible than it's ever been before. So some people see AI as a tool, other people are thinking a little bit further ahead and wondering how this is going to reshape business. I think it's fundamentally going to change business and society, but it depends where you stand on that as to kind of how much impact you think it will have. That's why the poll at the start was really interesting to see. So is that a good thing? I think for some it represents opportunity. For others it's becoming quite a concern. In life, we've gone through our careers developing these skill sets, trying to attain competitive advantage, because that's the way that we stand out in the market. And now AI is involved, it's starting to bring those barriers down. So that raises a lot of questions for us. How do our businesses, by extension of us, adapt and change alongside this change? And what is the role of specialists and generalists in this new market? So that brings us on to that concept of specialist versus generalist. I tried to think of an analogy, and I don't know if I stole this from something or if I worked with AI at some point and brought it up, but I find this analogy quite a nice one between specialisms and generalisms in nature. So in nature, we've got specialisms that exist. So koalas, for example, they only eat very specific eucalyptus leaves. Cheetahs, very fast, struggle with any rough terrain. We've got orchids, they need certain pollinators, maybe certain types of insects or animals in order to pollinate. So they work in very specific environments, and that means that they can dominate in a particular niche with minimal competition, and they're really, really efficient within the environments that they're in, but they are vulnerable to change if their habitat gets destroyed or food sources start to deplete. And then we've got the generalists, so the rats and the crows of this world. Rats can eat almost anything, they can live almost anywhere. Humans also in nature are sort of the ultimate generalists, so they can adapt to loads of different environments and food sources, and that makes people more resilient to environmental change and allows us to exploit a wider variety of different resources. But as a result, we face more competition and we're less efficient than specialists in any one particular area. And that works for society as well. So in terms of specialists, we've got doctors, they might specialize in a certain field like neurosurgery. We've got software engineers that specialize in coding, maybe in a specific language of coding. And that allows them to have higher earning potential. They get recognized as experts and there's less competition in those fields. But they risk their niche disappearing, and it requires continuous learning in order to stay relevant. And then we've got these jack of all trades, so they're able to work across multiple different industries, but they might not ever realize expert status in any one field. So think about entrepreneurs, often have to wear multiple hats, doing a variety of different things from leadership, finance, etc. So the pros of that is more adaptable to changing industries, broader career opportunities, ability to connect ideas across lots of different disciplines, but they struggle with that deeper expertise because you can't know everything, and it's harder to stand out in those competitive fields. So I began to ask the question, which is better? And I don't think there is any one side, specialism, generalism, that is inherently better. I think when it comes to ourselves and the workforce, a blended approach, a balanced approach to this is probably favored. Generally, in stable environments, that's going to favor specialization, so medical fields, research, there are some fields that are always going to require that deep specialization. That's not going to change. You know, things like AI engineering, medicine, those types of industries. And then we've got dynamic, fast-changing environments that tend to favor generalists more. So the startups, creative industries, any AI-driven job markets. We talked about entrepreneurs. So the future world of work, I think, is going to take a mix of both specialists and experts and these adaptable generalists in order to make things work. And that's going to mean hybrid teams. So AI is reshaping industries. It's making that specialized knowledge more accessible. It's reducing those traditional barriers to that expertise. It's transforming job roles. It's not just replacing them. So job roles are evolving. They're requiring new skill sets. And that shift is going to represent challenges for all of us in the businesses that we work in. It's going to present opportunities as well. I think the key point there is to just embrace AI, stay relevant, keep our continuous learning, and then ask questions around what we want our businesses to look like in the future. So should we worry? Should specialists worry? I think in certain roles and certain industries, specialists are starting to become more vulnerable to the disruption that comes from AI. And they will be more vulnerable unless they start to integrate and leverage AI in what they do. Some industries, like we said, are always going to be led by human expertise, but the way that AI is advancing and automation is coming on at the moment, who knows what the future might bring. So we're going to have to wait and see. I believe there is a ceiling at some point to AI. Just from research that I've done, there tends to be a theory that you can't just throw more money and more computation at AI and it continually improve. There is a limit. And then we start to talk about AGI and what does that take? Some people say that AGI can be achieved just by throwing money and computing power at the problem. Others think that you're going to need a seismic shift before we can get to advanced general intelligence that can think and act like a human can. And some industries are quite slow at leveraging AI. Traditional industries, especially, some businesses better than others, but in general, accountants, legal, can be a bit slower at adopting AI. That can create a lot of risks for those businesses, and it can create a lot of opportunities for others that do decide to leverage it. So I don't think specialists are in danger anytime soon of becoming obsolete due to AI. AI still struggles with a lot of precision and a lot of correctness. This example here is a visual example of that. This is asking AI to show a picture of a wine glass filled to the brim with wine. And if you want a challenge, you can go on some of these diffusion models, these image generation models, and try and ask it just to show me a glass of red wine filled to the top. It really struggles with it. And that's a simple example of a wider issue that still exists within AI. So it permeates a number of different challenges where AI just can't do something. And if we don't have that specialism and that knowledge in that area, and we don't know how to fix it, we end up just as stuck as we were before, or worse, we end up just accepting an answer that AI gives without really understanding that it's wrong and then implementing it into business. And as we go through and we start to talk about automation and building AI into our businesses and into our workflows, it becomes much harder to spot those issues and then resolve those issues. So we still need specialists in order to keep AI in check, and also just to advance the creative side of what we do. There's loads of different innovations that have happened that humans have driven over the years. I think of art, for example. So the Renaissance, Impressionism, Cubism. AI is built on what already exists, and it can only iterate on that information, but it can't create anything new necessarily. That comes from humans, and that comes from those specialist job roles and us knowing what we're doing and then pushing things forward. when it comes to specialists and adaptation of that, we all kind of do this in our jobs anyway, and we talk about it at Annika a lot, but I think this T-shaped consultant is the right way to think about it. So having that deep expertise, the bottom part of the T, in our area of specialism, so we're really knowledgeable about certain subjects, and then we've got a broad range of skills across multiple different fields. That could be in part AI, it could be other parts of the business. That allows us to pivot and to collaborate with different parts of the business and to clients, etc., while still retaining that specialism that we have in a particular field. So we want the best of both worlds. We want that specialism in business, and we also want some form of generalist. A generalist will be able to adapt quicker, they can leverage AI better. Specialists are able to enhance their expertise, and they're able to automate tasks and focus on that innovation and driving forward rather than those repetitive, more mundane activities. So future-proofing ourselves and our businesses will allow us to have that blend of both things, that expertise and that adaptability. So that is specialists in this world of change. That moves us on to generalists. So the shift that we've seen in AI, that's starting to give rise to a new type of role, a new type of professional, which is the AI generalist. So someone that can connect ideas, adapt really quickly to change, integrate AI across lots of different domains within the business. So an AI generalist is a versatile professional who applies AI tools and solutions across multiple different industries and problems, and they bridge the gap between technical and non-technical fields, leverage AI to enhance efficiency, automation, decision-making process. There are some, Sam Altman was someone that mentioned this recently, that believe that these AI generalists and the rise of this type of individual is going to lead to one-person businesses in the future, and they've got a bet on Sam Altman and his Silicon Valley friends about when the first $1 billion one-person business will be created. To me, I don't believe right now or anytime soon that AI generalists are going to be that way. In most cases, they're not one-person lone problem solvers. There's the when people talk about this, I've seen some videos about one-person army able to solve all these different things and do it all themselves. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think that they excel in connecting ideas, connecting different tools with different people, and finding better solutions within the businesses in which they operate. So they might use no-code or low-code automation tools. They might be integrating AI into different business processes, collaborating with those specialists in order to solve complex challenges that the business might have. I'm not going to go through all of the skills that an AI generalist might possess, but there's some I've sort of thought up and researched here that I think summarize what an AI generalist could be. Soft skills including thinking critically about problems and able to combine that critical thinking with problem solving that leverages their knowledge in AI and finds creative solutions that AI can help assist with. Able to tell stories through data. I think change management is a really important one. Businesses are slow to harness change, especially something which could be as substantial as AI. And so we need to have a good idea as change management. How do we actually action this change? How do we get people on board? Do we start with the problem and then build a solution? Do we start with the solution and then try and apply that to problems that exist? And how do we make the business change and adapt to what we're discussing? And then on the technical side, obviously they need to know about AI. They need to be really good prompt engineers. They need to be able to know all the different models that are out there, all the new tools that are coming out. They need to be aware of how data security and processing works within all of these different models, API connections, all of the technical stuff that would make someone really proficient at building AI tools. In terms of what an AI generalist could support with in business, I think the magic of that is that it's relatively limitless in terms of ways that they can have a positive effect on the business. There's loads of tools coming out now talking about marketing and sales, business operations, data analysis, different product innovation, HR tools that are coming out, and we're talking about the front end UI and aspect to it, and also the back end data management and automation and process driven stuff, which AI generalists could help just speed up and make more agile. I could spend ages coming up with loads of different examples about different cool ways in which a generalist could help support businesses and operations. So that leads us to think about the business of the future and what that structure might look like, and how it might reshape how teams are structured. In the future, I think that we'll have leaders that are going to be AI augmented generalists. They're going to oversee AI-driven workflows. They're going to focus on strategy. They're going to let a large part of the execution fall to AI and generalists. We've got the AI-enhanced professionals, so that's our specialists. They're going to leverage AI agents. They're going to streamline tasks, help with boosting productivity, and help make better data-driven decisions. And then we've got the hybrid workforce, so modern teams that are going to blend that ability to be AI-powered generalists. We're going to have different hyper specialists and different AI systems that are going to help automate tasks. And that's all going to hopefully help businesses that adopt this structure and framework scale faster, improve efficiency, work smarter, not harder, and make those data-driven decisions. I can only apologize for how this looks. I did try a couple of times to get AI to help build this thought process out, but the tool I was using is not particularly good at doing this stuff. I'm surprised it got this far, to be honest. But I tried to, this is an example of your traditional business model, how we look today. So you've got your boss at the top, and then you've got your management teams, and then you've got your team leads and your specialists and your employees, and they all work together to make human decision making that's going to drive most of those functions. There might be some limited AI involvement, ChatGPT, etc., to help with basic tasks. And then you're going to have your generalist overseeing everything, overseeing all the different teams. What we're talking about with leaning into AI generalists and these more specialist roles is this kind of AI enhanced model. Well, we've got our ultra generalists, so they're going to lead strategy, they're going to leverage AI, and then you've got your AI generalists, and those AI generalists are going to help with integrating different AI tools, automation, analysis, problem solving, working with different teams to find out how they can improve efficiency. You're still going to have your hyper specialists, like we said. Those people are going to have that focus on deeper expertise, while the AI below them handles those more routine, repetitive tasks. And then you're going to have your AI assistants, your systems, your AI agents, which is the kind of thing at the moment to talk around AI agents. They're going to optimize workflows, they're going to support decision making, and they're just going to enhance that scalability. So if you build a system like that, you're able to scale much quicker. So that then led me to talk around what the path might be to becoming more of an AI generalist. And we've got these steps here. So the first part is to obviously learn the fundamentals. I think I've got a slide on this later, but the fundamentals is something that really everyone should be beginning to understand and learn. And then we can start to master the AI tools. We need to stay ahead of those AI trends, begin to work through automation of workflows and different ways we can apply that. And then we end up with the holy grail of being an AI generalist, which is actually developing AI solutions, coming up with things that actually make meaningful impact to businesses, designing AI agents, implementing systems, creating workflows that are scalable as the business scales. So a couple of slides just on each of those. Learning the fundamentals. Where do we start? We need to understand what AI is. How does machine learning work? deep learning, how the neural networks work, so the theory behind what we're doing. Understanding different models, GPT, Claude, Gemini, all of these different things. We need to understand the difference between narrow AI and general AI, AGI. I would actually disagree with what I've written here slightly, in the sense of AGI and general intelligence is still something that's theoretical. Some claim to have versions of it, but it's not quite there yet. But what I would mean by that is understanding the difference between more narrow focused AI tools that may focus on a specific task or thing, versus how we can integrate general tools like the chat GPTs, the custom GPTs, etc., in order to help with our workloads. And then we can start to think about common AI applications of all of this stuff. So do we want chatbots? Is it image recognition? All of these types of things. So the way they're going to learn that is through practice, hands-on with these tools, reading AI papers, taking online courses. All of these types of things will give you a good foundational understanding of AI. Then we can begin to master those tools. So that's going to be things like prompt engineering, how to write effective prompts. We can do that through zero-shot or few-shot prompting. So zero-shot is just where you throw a question at ChatGPT and say, answer this, and it comes back with whatever it thinks the best answer will be. Few-shot prompting means you're giving it a couple of pinpoints of context to what you're asking it, so it provides a more refined search result. And then you've got markdown prompting, which is a really highly structured way of prompting these models so that you get exactly what you want out of it. How to fine-tune models, how to find practical use cases for these, automating reports, writing scripts, content generation. So we're starting to explore things like GPT in more detail, but we're starting to look into custom API models, OpenAI models. Custom GPTs are a really fun way of starting to get involved with mastering these AI tools. And we're starting to talk around automation as well and custom models. Then we need to stay ahead of trends, have a look into diffusion models, that's AI generation models, multimodal models, try different things with text and images and audio, begin to bring into this AI agents, levels of autonomy, and then think about the emerging AI platforms, of which there are hundreds being released all the time that solve a variety of different things. So Mistral Perplexity AI, Claude is a really good one for coding and data analysis, I found. So we just need to follow relevant sources, news sources, join communities, LinkedIn, Reddit, Discord groups, experiment with different forms of AI, start to apply the knowledge that we've got. Then we need to start to understand automation. On its surface, automation is super easy. It's no code or very low code automation. Zapier, Make, all of these things are drag and drop almost. But then beneath that surface level, there's a huge amount of work that can go into creating different nodes and different webhooks to take information from many, many different sources, business information through APIs, all of this kind of thing, transform it through automation tools, maybe load it into something like Airtable or Google Sheets, and then process that and then make AI decisions or analysis based on that. So you can get really complex with automation. And once we've got all those different elements, we can start to build things. So we can build AI assistants, we can start to develop AI-powered apps, different AI-driven business models, start thinking about the ethical AI development. How do we make it fair, transparent, reduce the bias that AI naturally sometimes brings to the table? And yeah, start building tools, which is the fun side of it. It's always nice when you build your first AI-powered tool. And if you've ever done it, if you've ever built your first chatbot or done your first automation and it just works, it's a great feeling. So we're starting to build tools now that help with a variety of different tasks within our business. So in conclusion, businesses are evolving. AI generalists are these connectors of strategy and technology. They're hopefully able to drive innovation and improve efficiency. and they allow organizations to solve complex challenges, begin to automate those workflows, reduce costs, boost scaling and productivity. We're able to rapidly prototype and develop new ideas because we can just automate some of the basic stuff and allow us to focus on prototyping and innovation rather than actual delivery, which we can hand over to AI. And we're able to analyze and synthesize business data much better, that allows us to make better informed business decisions. I've got an example of that I will share at the end if I've got time. Now, I think most of you here, based on the poll, are already probably convinced by some of this stuff and the impact it's going to have on our work lives. There are some that are less convinced or are still unsure how AI is going to impact their business in the future. What I say to anyone that is unsure about this is just to future-proof yourself and protect yourself. There are some basic things that individuals should be doing now, and these ones are some of the ones I come up with. Understanding AI basics, so the basics of good prompting to get what you need out of it. A lot of people talk about hallucinations and AI providing poor results back, and it does, but sometimes those poor results just come from a misunderstanding about what AI is and how to communicate to it. These language models try to behave like a human would behave, so you can have conversations with it. But at the end of the day, they are machines, and treating them like that and prompt engineering in the proper way allows you to get better information from them. We need to, I advise people to think critically and adapt. So stay curious about AI, always research it, even if you're a bit suspicious of it. Embrace that continuous learning, just to stay up to date with evolutions in AI and the effects that it has on industries. Try out tools. Anyone that's never tried ChatGPT at least at this point, I'm kind of surprised at. People need to be at least using the platforms and trying out different things. Most of them are free to try. You can just log in, give away some social credentials, and then you're in, and you can just try it and just give it a go and see what you come up with. That video at the start, that AI avatar, was through a tool called HeyGen. You saw the watermark in the bottom right. You get 3 videos for free. You can upload your video to it. It's quite scary because you have to sign a load of terms and conditions saying you're giving your face to the platform, but you get 3 videos for free, and you can just create a video and just see how it looks and just have some fun with it. And then you explore some simple automation. So there's the Zapiers of the world and the Makes. On a simple level, you can log in, you can do stuff relatively cheaply, if not free. And just try simple automation, just see how it works, and then start to think, how can we apply that knowledge to other things? And that's when you start to think, actually, maybe it can do this, or maybe it can do that, and the ideas start to flow. We've got 10 minutes, and I know Anne's got a lot of thoughts on this as well, so I'd like to give her an opportunity to talk. I just want to talk really quickly about some of the risks, and I've got 3 pages of this, but I'll just cherry pick some of them. First one being the hype versus reality. I do find that people and society tends to get quite excited about new ideas very quickly, and you see that through the level of investment, and that comes through to the investment bubble risk as well. And then suddenly you see all this money flowing in, and everyone's trying to adopt things, and there's a certain amount of hype that comes with any exciting new thing, and AI is one of those. And we get caught in the excitement and we miss that bigger picture. So we need to make sure that we're grounded in reality of what we want to implement today, rather than getting caught up in the hype and jumping with 2 feet into things. And that goes for the bubble risk as well. I'm seeing so much money in the news being poured into AI at the moment. There's iterations of this through history you look at and you think, is this going too far too soon? There was a company that this week got 30 billion in investment, and they hadn't even released a product yet. It was all promises on what they could produce, and it was AGI this and things. And you wonder where this is going to end. Is it a bubble? And in that sense, with the bubble, if we jump into AI, and then one day a tool that we use to automate part of our processes goes dark or goes offline, where does that leave our business? So we've got to ask those questions. Anne, I can hear you. Are you telling me your time's up?
No, I'm just waiting for you to get to a point where we can have a conversation. I didn't know whether this was your last slide or not.
There are high implementation costs, especially if you want to integrate loads of this into business. You might need professionals that know how to do it. There are tooling costs, and they can scale quite dramatically depending on which tool you use. As competition increases, you had Zapier back in the day that was able to automate, and then you had Make that reduced the cost slightly. N8N, I think, is open source and even cheaper in terms of the amount of automations it can run. 1 or 2 automations isn't going to cost much. If you're automating everything, thousands of automations running through these systems every hour or every day, that comes with a cost, and that cost can scale quite rapidly. So we need to be aware of the costs of all that. You've still got the AI hallucinations, the misinformation. If we're automating business on a grand scale, that represents operational risk, because we don't want our business being run on false information, and there's a danger that that could happen. Loads of other things. AI complacency is something that maybe I'm suffering from a little bit at the moment, and the more I use AI, the more I'm like, I'll just let AI do that, and the less I engage my brain. So over time, where does that leave us? There's data security risks, and there's this overwhelm and lack of focus with AI that exists at the moment. There's just so much you can do. Where do I get started? What do I start on? So what do I think? I think it's exciting. I think there's a lot of potential that comes from unlocking this innovation and all of this efficiency gains that we can have. We're able to build faster. We're able to get new insights quicker, and that's all brilliant. The long-term effects, we'll have to wait and see. This is where I become a bit more of a skeptic. Specialisms are typically how historically economic structures have been built upon, and as we bring those walls down and knowledge becomes more open source, it raises questions with unintended consequences. We talked about job losses earlier. Where does that lead us? What does the world look like in the future? And I also ask questions around if everyone has access to AI expertise, if everyone is automating, then does that eliminate competitive advantage? Everything is so low barrier, low cost, everyone can do it, but does it provide any unique competitive advantage at all? So there's long-term questions like that I ask, and there's also theories that I love subscribing to, things around dead internet theory. There's people out there now that are automating their social content and delivering videos that are all AI created and all done through systems. If everyone did that, then all we've got is an internet full of bots creating what they call content slop. So just content for content's sake, and there's no new ideas. So I love talking about stuff like that and the dangers of AI. And that's me. So I ended with a question: what do you think? Is AI gonna take all our jobs? Is there still a role for us to play? Are we all going to become AI engineers? And I think the poll at the start answered it, but are we actually going to see any change at all?
There's some quite interesting comments. There's a comment from Joseph in the Q&A section, and I think he's obviously working in this area as well, and he was interested in knowing what we've actually integrated and what we've actually built. And I think that's a really important question, because I've actually built quite a lot of stuff, but I'm not necessarily using it all the time. So I've got quite a lot of custom GPTs that you and I both built. I've also built a couple of bots using Agentive, which is basically, it's like a custom GPT, but it's embedded on your website. So if you go to the homepage on the Annika site, you can see it. It's also on my Integrate Books page, and then I did a Go high level one. But I'm playing because I'm learning really rapidly, because I'm on this 6-month course where I'm trying to learn really quickly. And I think what Darren's done with his Teams email integration is actually better, because what he's done is actually built something and implemented it, whereas I've built things like using something called Vector Shift, which is using a knowledge base where you can load all your content up, and then you can convert. For me, I wanted to speed up the process of converting our webinars into blogs. So you take the transcription, you take the slides, and then you get the blog created. So there's a lot of stuff like that, which we've done. But Holly and the paid team, they've been playing around with scripts automation. So I think it's a really good question. And I think the problem is at this stage, we're all playing. And actually playing and integrating is a very different thing. My advice with people is to build stuff and use it, and that could be just going into ChatGPT and making sure you use that properly. So improving, and we do quite a few workshops and webinars on that, so go and have a look. But improving the performance of your prompting and having more complicated, I do something called CoStar, which is context, objectives, I can't remember all the other style, response or whatever, I can't remember all the audience, I think one of the others is, I can never remember these acronyms when I come to talk about it like this, and Markdown, which is one that which is like an HTML but uses hashtags. So some of this stuff is really, really powerful and you get much better. The other thing that we've learned as part of the course I've been doing is to cross prompt. So you'll use one search engine, one ChatGPT, like ChatGPT, to create a prompt, and then you'll use that prompt over in Claude or in DeepSeek. And then what you'll do is you'll get that answer and then you'll go over to another LLM. And you can do this with the free versions, by the way, although you do hit a limit after a while, and say, well, what is missing from this? But there's so much to learn. You almost need to be shown what you need to know. And so what Darren and I are doing at the moment is we're trying to put courses together so we can actually form a structure. Similarly, I've just created, I don't know how many of you have seen my A10 marketing framework book, but I'm just in the process of writing a new one called C10, which is an AI adoption framework, in order to give structure to this so that companies know what to implement. So I think it's difficult to implement it. And I just wanted to raise one more point on this. I think if you're on your own and you can invest the time, you need to be investing at least a day a week just to keep up with what's happening and to backtrack with all the past knowledge. It's similar when you learn digital marketing for the first time. You know, I've been doing digital marketing for 23 years now. And you're learning new stuff all the time. But because you've got that background knowledge, you know, you're not starting from scratch. It reminds me of when email first came out. You know, I was having to learn a new language because I'm old enough to remember when email first came out. And what's this, you know, what's an ISB and what does HTTP mean and all this sort of stuff. So I think you've got to invest a lot of time in it if you're serious about using it. But it might be that you just sit back and just do prompting. But if you're serious about making this a career or impacting your business, you've got to go that extra mile.
I think it's interesting because when you pull a presentation together like this, you kind of present sometimes the ideal scenario. And the two business models we shared, the traditional and the AI enhanced one, I'd love to say that we were there, but we are still playing, and we're not at that stage yet. I think when it comes to becoming an AI generalist and trying to impact things, as we're playing, we're starting to incorporate small bits here and there into what we do. I mean, for example, I previously would get finance information from Xero, download a P&L, trying to interpret it, understand it. Now I can pull that information direct from Xero, pass it to Sheets, get AI to interpret, understand it, create a dashboard immediately from that data and present it. So when I log into a private Google Sheets now, I open it up, I've got the P&L information structured how I want to see it with graphs and tables, and then under each graph I've got ChatGPT interpreting that data and telling me how's our profit looking, what are our costs in different areas. So little micro areas like that we're seeing massive improvements in. But we as Annika, we're a business full of awesome specialists that are great at what they do, and so we want to harness that and leverage AI and allow them to do their jobs quicker and better. And there's a million tools out there that have already baked in AI into that as well. So it's not just the ChatGPTs and the external tools. Facebook's got its own AI and LinkedIn and all of these different things, and Amazon's got AI. So there's different pockets of AI that exist across loads of different tools.
There's quite a lot of questions, so we need to quickly get through some of these. So Rebecca's asking about investing in licenses, and we've cheated. We've got one license for GPT Pro, which is the $20, which we share. I think we're at the point of buying a Claude license as well, aren't we? Because we think that's, yeah. We've also got Gemini because we're Google Workspace, and we've played around with Copilot, which we're not that impressed with, are we? To be perfectly honest. No, Copilot in Microsoft. I think we're not quite.
No, I think you go in with high expectations on things, and with Copilot, it's great at certain tasks. For example, I use it in Teams all the time to ask it questions. But I remember we had this conversation with someone, but I can't remember quite where, and it goes and finds that, and it gives me a summary. I would have really liked with Copilot for it to have better Excel capabilities, and it just hasn't. Maybe that's just me asking too much or asking the wrong things, but it's not quite there yet.
The other thing somebody's asking about us providing a course. The answer is yes, we will be. I'm currently studying for the CIM level 6 AI specialist course qualification, which I've got to take in March. We're trying to see whether we can become a CIM provider of that. The Digital Marketing Institute have also got some AI courses as well. So there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes to try and offer courses, because of course there's going to be a lot of money from the government to train people. But we think that a lot of the training is either really, really technical or too basic, and you actually need to take people on a journey. So when I'm training ChatGPT, for example, it's all demos. The slides are almost there, by the, as a sort of afterthought, really. Okay, so what else has people asked? I'm not sure what links you want, Amelia. What I suggest you do is go and look in my last 3 or 4 LinkedIn posts, because I've been putting a load of brands and links in there from all the stuff that I've been learning on my course. That might be the most useful place to go. AI wow moment. What was your wow moment? I think that was using ChatGPT, probably. Sam says it's addictive and overwhelming.
Yes, yep.
I agree with you, but you've got to invest the time. Yeah, I'm doing a course out of India. It's called the AI Generalist course, where this idea came from for this presentation, because Darren's sort of following on the videos. It was $6,000, but I got a bit of a discount, believe it or not, because they wanted some female founders to join the course, because unfortunately AI has become a very male-dominated world already. It's following a very similar pattern to coding. So I think they just wanted to do their diversity quota, but it's called Outskill. So again, if you go and find my LinkedIn posts, if you connect to me on LinkedIn, I'm just Anne Stanley, on aka Anne Simmons, which is my married name. But if you go and find my LinkedIn posts, I'll put a link in now. You can go and look at a few of the ones that I've done, and there's a mention about Skill in there. We're on the guinea pig program. Actually, it's the first one they've done, but they do also do a couple of other programs, including a 16-hour mastermind course, which is really good. That's sort of 16 hours, 2 days, but it's all at the weekends. So of course it means that you have to invest your own time if you're going to do this stuff. Is there any other questions in the let's see if I can find my last post. Is there any other questions in the chat, Darren, that you can see?
I said I was going to show something at the end. I think it was basically that example of the finance and pulling that information through. Maybe another day we can go through some actual automation and workflows and actually give some, because we're talking quite theoretical, so maybe some actual examples of things that we've automated and how we've achieved that would be useful for people. So maybe we do a running series of AI webinars.
Yeah, maybe we can do some practical stuff on our ChatGPT, and also a good example is Darren's done this Teams integration, but we've not implemented it across the rest of the team. And one of my biggest concerns about all of this is the different adoption rates of AI within an organization. We've got some people that just don't touch it. We've got people that are in ChatGPT all the time. We've got other people that are building custom GPTs and doing some quite sophisticated stuff. So I definitely think that you need to find a mechanism to train the rest of your team. I've just put the review thing at the top. So if any of you'd like to give us a review, that would be amazing. Most of our reviews are about our webinars and our training, but what we really want reviews on saying that we know what we're talking about, which hopefully today Darren has illustrated that he does know what he's talking about. Excellent. Thank you so much, guys. I know we've got some learners in the room. You should get that from Mark, Lucy, just to answer that question. Thanks, Darren. And I know that you've been really busy this week because we had a big board meeting as well. So thank you for putting that together at such short notice.
I'm going to go buy a new microphone, I think.
Excellent. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I'm going to end the recording now. Thanks.